Hey guys, I have been wanting to get back to sewing doll clothes. So for today's video, I'm going to be sewing at least one American Girl doll outfit. I've had these fabrics sitting out since I made Felicity's Christmas dress because I knew this was going to be the next thing I wanted to make. What I'm going to be sewing is Felicity's school outfit with these fabrics. So I've got this brown and light brown stripe and then a solid mustard. This is going to be the skirt and this is going to be the top. I don't know if I'm going to be doing more than one outfit in this video. I do have some other fabric picked out, and I also have gotten a hold of all of the American Girl doll Pretty Things patterns. In Felicity's Christmas dress video, I mentioned finding vintage patterns for Felicity, and that's where I was able to get the pattern for her Christmas dress and her bonnet and the school outfit. And I learned that there were others. There were 6 different pattern books for, at the time, 6 historical American Girl. Samantha, Kirsten, Felicity, Josefina, Molly, and Addie. Those are the ones that they had come out with these pattern books for. And it's for a select few outfits, not including their meet outfit. So for example, for Felicity, it's her Christmas dress, her school outfit, a couple different styles of cap or bonnet, a nightgown, I believe, as well as maybe some accessories. And they're all like that. They all have something that would be considered more of a daytime outfit, something more of a nighttime outfit, or a special event outfit, as well as some undergarments and accessories and stuff like that. I found the patterns originally on Etsy being sold for not that much money. I think it was under $1. But I then learned, and I talked about this in the Christmas dress video, I then learned that all of these patterns are available for free on agplaythings.com after I was curious and looked it up on, I was just Googling them, found the American Girl Wiki Fandom page where it mentions this website. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to download the rest for free. I'd only bought Felicity's. So I do have all of them. Now, I printed out not all of them. There's a lot here. I printed out the ones that I knew I would want either the whole thing of or like certain pieces. I know that I believe it's Addie's school outfit. Her outfit includes a collared shirt, and kind of knowing the kinds of outfits I want to put my American Girl dolls in, I printed out just the shirt part. But I do have the full pattern books for all 6 dolls. But today we were doing Felicity's school outfit. So let's get to cutting out the pattern and cutting out the pattern pieces. I love when I'm not filming. trying something new by talking to you more throughout the process. So I got the skirt pretty much done. Here it is. All I have to do is attach the Velcro, and I'll trim these once that's on. I have been struggling with filming lately, and I don't know why. I can't seem to keep anything in frame. I barely showed you any of the process from yesterday because of the fact that everything I was doing was just out of frame, and or it's just me sewing, because sewing seems to be the only thing I can actually get a good shot of. But I don't even want to watch endless sewing of just straight seam after straight seam, because I've just been struggling. The top down mount is not working. It's either really zoomed out, so then everything is like really tiny on the screen and a lot of blank space, or I'm using my tripod and the angle is bad, and it's because I'm on my phone. I'm using my phone to film, and there's no way of really seeing what I'm doing unless I use the selfie camera, which is not as good quality as the front facing camera, I assume. So yeah, that's why I barely showed you any of the process so far. The jacket, I didn't get as much done with the jacket as I wanted. I got just one section done. I realized that the armholes and the side seams, the way it's constructed, are not, it's a fully lined jacket, but those side seams are not inside the lining. It's hard to explain. I looked at the instructions and I kind of understand how it works. So I freight checked everything. I freight checked the sleeves already when I realized that they did not get a lining piece. And then when I realized that all those side seams and armhole seams are not going to be finished, I decided to freight check those as well. So I stopped sewing because they had to fully dry, and now it's the next day and I'm sewing more. Yeah, okay, let's get back to sewing. So I've got over here excellent I guess that's not why it's so graceful to me. It's not graceful for you, but it's very gracefully to get out of there. Alright, so I didn't do the ruffle for this. There's supposed to be a ruffle along the neckline and the bottom of the sleeves. I gotta figure out what to do instead. I don't want to do a ruffle. That's the wrong drawer. Let's look in the drawer together. Could do off-white lace, but I don't know. I don't want to use this stuff. It's too white. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's also very tall. I could just not do a ruffle. I could just skip that step entirely. I don't know where they are. Hold on. Keep going. Keep running. The ruffle finishes the sleeve.
Those real pearls? They look so sharp. But the party hasn't happened yet, right? You have to take me there soon.
It's done. I didn't have too many issues in the making process of it, but I do have some fit issues, as I'm sure you can see the front of the jacket is pulling really tight. It doesn't help that the ribbon I'm using is too short, but that's not where the issue is. It's just too small. Maybe if she wasn't wearing her shift underneath, if I put it on somebody else who doesn't have a shift, maybe it would fit a little bit better, but overall it is too small. I think it's because I made my seam allowance too big. The pattern says to make your seam allowance 1/4 of an inch. And the distance between the needle in the middle position and the edge of my presser foot is like ever so slightly bigger than 1/4 of an inch. Also, I'm not the greatest at sewing perfectly flush with the presser foot, so I think that's what the issue is. It is especially tight across the back here, where with such a fitted garment as this kind of jacket is, that's basically where all of my problems are. The whole bodice section, there's no T in that, bodice section fits too tightly. Maybe I'll put it on somebody else and it'll fit a little bit better, and I'll definitely change the ribbon because I only had this little bit, so it's too short. The skirt, on the other hand, is too big. I don't know how it happened, Maybe it's because I made the side seams too narrow. I thought I was making them 1/4 of an inch. I actually intentionally sewed slightly less, like slightly in from the edge of the presser foot. And it's possible it made that too big. So you can actually see it's kind of gaping here. I tried to lift that up. I tried to make the not elastic, the Velcro tighter. Get your arm out of the way. So it's actually overlapping slightly right here. This is the slits on the side to make it easy to put on, but also it's supposed to be access to pockets if it was on a person, and then she has pockets if you were to buy it back in the day. Your hand would fit in there. So it's supposed to, these two edges, they're supposed to just meet. It's supposed to just meet like that. But even just doing one side, it's now too big. So overall, it didn't turn out as great as I want. The skirt, even though it's a little big, can still be used as some kind of base. I could pair it with other types of garments in her collection. I could probably, if I wanted to, make the Christmas dress in different fabrics if I want. I don't know if I do. But overall, the fit ended up not being so great. For reference, this is what her original looks like. I lost the original cord, so I just have this white ribbon on it. And it's basically the same. It is the same pattern. And I obviously didn't add the ruffle here because I didn't feel like doing that. But yeah, it's very minute, but that little difference compounds over the entire garment and makes the whole thing too small. Maybe I'll actually remake the jacket at some point in a different fabric. I don't have any more of the mustard, unfortunately. I used up everything that I have. I have some small scraps and that's it. But I definitely have lots of fabric that I could use, and maybe I'll pick a different pattern that I can make it again and either try to make my seam allowances smaller or actually make it slightly bigger by cutting it out slightly larger so that in me sewing it, it becomes more of a better fit. Overall, it wasn't too difficult to do. It definitely had some steps I didn't, it's not that I didn't like the steps. The instructions for these patterns are more, they're not complicated, but they're kind of vague. It's like it expects you to be a very expert sewer, and I don't know if I'm considered an expert sewer. Yeah, if it fit better, I'd be happier. Definitely a longer ribbon, so at least it doesn't pull so much, and probably no shift underneath to help with the bulk, because even in this one and any of her dresses, I have a slight issue where her shift likes to bunch up, the sleeves like to bunch up around her shoulders, and I have to reach under the skirt to kind of yank it down from around the neckline and stuff like that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy crochet, sewing, or any other kinds of crafts, please consider a follow. I upload every Sunday, and I hope to see you there. Bye.